Hello, friend. I am so glad that you decided to click on this video because that means you may have a little interest, at least, in chatting for a few minutes about The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is book one of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, and it was originally published back in 1990. Yes, book one of Wheel of Time series. So I decided to give this a read because I watched the Wheel of Time series adaptation on Amazon Prime and I really enjoyed it. And one of my coworkers was actually reading The Eye of the World, and it got me piqued my interest to actually delve into the book as well. It's a bit different than the series, so on this chat I'm only going to talk about the book, not about the series. So The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. So what's this about? This is some fantasy, some high fantasy, and it's set in a world that has been broken. So the breaking of the world had occurred about 3,000 years earlier from when we start our story. And the breaking of the world and what this resulted in was males have basically lost the ability to wield magic. Females still can wield magic, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But anyway, as the story opens, we're in this small village called the Two Rivers, and there are five main characters here. Rand, who is a young man who is a shepherd, and he lives with his father. His mother has passed away. He's very close with his father, and I think he foresees his future as being also a shepherd and working on the farm, and him having his own family. Then we have his friend Matt, who is sort of trickster, and then their other friend Perrin, who is the apprentice to the blacksmith. And then there are a couple of females, Egwene, who is a young woman who is very interested in, she wants to leave the village. She's very curious about the outside world. The rest of the characters are all pretty content in their small village. They rarely get visitors. They get like a peddler once a year that comes through the village, and other than that, it's very rare for them to see or meet anybody from the outside. So news from the outside world gets to them very slowly. And then there's another female character, Nynaeve. She's a little bit older than the rest of them, and she is the village wisdom. And the village wisdom is sort of like a healer. She's sort of like the village healer. But into their village at the beginning of the book, there's a couple of characters who arrive that are from the outside. The one her name is Moraine. She is a woman who is an Aes Sedai. And an Aes Sedai is a woman who can actually wield magic, the feminine magic. And I'm going to talk more about the different magics, the male and female aspects of magic that are illustrated in this book in a bit. But then she's accompanied by a man, a warder, who is known as a warder. His name is Lan, and a warder is a man who accompanies and is bonded with an Aes Sedai. So it's not a romantic bond. It's more of a bond of duty and of purpose. And so the warder travels around and sort of with a certain Aes Sedai, and they share a very intimate sort of connection with each other, although it's not a romantic one, as I mentioned. However, there are changes afoot in the world. The Aes Sedai, Moraine, and Lan, they are aware of this. This is why they come to the village to begin with, because they've been drawn to this village by some signs, some evidence that they've acquired elsewhere, and Moraine is under the impression that at least one of these groups in this group of five is what is known as the Dragon Reborn, meaning the universe is sort of coalescing or somewhere in this village around these characters that are of a certain age. So the events then eventually take out of the village and out into the world in a very dangerous journey. So some others they meet along the way. There are the travelers, the Tinkers they're also known as, and these are a group of really pacifist travelers. They are nonviolent. They don't believe in violence of any kind, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'm going to talk more a bit about that here in a bit. Then there are wolf brothers. So wolf brothers are those who can actually communicate with wolves and take on certain characteristics of wolves. And there is an ogier, who is a type of a being that is a really tall. They're really big and tall, and they are known as builders. They rarely interact with humanity anymore. They pretty much stay to themselves, but there is one that has just become adventurous and come out into the human world. We meet him eventually. Then there is the gleeman. So a gleeman is a person who goes around telling stories and juggling and playing music and things for entertainment. But Tom the gleeman figures very prominently in this story as well. Of course, there is an evil opposing them. So the Dark One is a kind of the ultimate sort of power for the negative, and his power has been kept in check over the last 3,000 years, but there are signs that this sort of check on his power is weakening, and there is going to be a new sort of showdown coming up with the Dark One. And then he's helped by Dark Friends. Dark Friends are these people who really serve the forces of evil. They are the type that's mentioned in the book. They're the type of person who it might be in a crowd, and they're the person who would be able to turn that crowd into a mob. And then Trollocs are they're part human, part beast, and they're very violent. They're very formidable sort of opponents to have in any kind of fight. They are led by Fades, and Fades are... Trollocs aren't that bright, but Fades are. So Fades really direct the energy of the Trollocs, and they're also very difficult to combat, and so very dangerous to have chasing you. So these dark forces are chasing our group from Two Rivers throughout really the entirety of the book, as this group seeks to fulfill their quests that they go on at the beginning of the book. And I won't give away anything else around that. But some thoughts and impressions. This male-female energy that I've sort of alluded to, the male energy is called Saidin, and the female energy is called Saidar. And so the males cannot channel their energy anymore because of the breaking of the world sometime in the past. And males, if they do have the ability to channel the energy or to perform magic, it actually drives them insane, and they become very violent and very destructive. And so the female energy, the Saidar, this group of Aes Sedai is an order sort of these women who are really adept at channeling the female energy, and there is all different sort of types of Aes Sedai. Moraine is one particular type that's trying to lead this group to their goal, to try to counter the actions of the Dark One. But I just thought this idea of this differences in the energy, the gender energy, was really cool. Because to me, I thought of it this way: like if your mom and dad have different energies, right? And so they may do this sort of a similar thing for you. Like males can be nurturing, so and females can be protectors as well. So your mom protects you, and your dad also nurtures you, right? So to me, it's like if your parents made you a meal, like if your mom makes you a special dinner because you're not feeling well, it's got that certain mom energy to it, right? But if your dad might make you a meal, and it's a little bit different, right? There's that dad energy with that meal. And even though it might be the same meal, there's a little different energy around that. And that's sort of how I interpreted the difference between the Saidin energy and the Saidar energy. And it's illustrated in the book where one of the characters asks Moraine about why do males have the more with the five powers. The five powers are earth, wind, fire, water, and spirit. And so she says, why do males have a better ability to really command the powers of earth and fire? wind and water being more responsive to the female energy. And Moraine says, well, there's actually, they're equal energies. Like water can put out fire and wind can erode stone. So there's not one power that's greater than another. It's all in a balance. So I thought that was really cool. Then another kind of cool aspect that I had, impression that I had from the book, was the aspect of friendship and community. Because this 5, they're really provincial young people from a small village that get thrown out into the world, into a very dangerous situation. And what they have with each other, though, is the sense of their friendship with each other, as well as the community that they come from, binds them together in a really tight bond. And I thought that was really cool. This is illustrated once in the book where one of the characters, Matt, has actually been injured, and because they're being chased by the Trollocs and the Fades and the forces of darkness, it's slowing Rand down, and so it's costing him security to try to help Matt. But Matt says, Rand, he says, you won't leave me, will you? If I can't keep up. His voice quavered. I won't leave you. Rand tightened his grip on his friend's hand. I won't leave you no matter what. True friends here. I'm not going to leave him, even if it's to my own, even if it's dangerous for me personally. He's not going to let his friend down here in this instance. I thought that was really cool. And then there's another sort of impression that I took away about violence. So, violence not being the answer to everything, not just being strong and being able to be a good warrior. That is not the answer here many times. So this is illustrated with the Tinkers that I mentioned, the Way of the Leaf. They're pacifists. They don't ever do violence. They talk about, in one aspect, Perrin asks one of the Tinkers, don't you know that the world is filled with very dangerous forces like Trollocs and Fades? And the Tinker says, yes, but the axe, like an axe can easily chop down a tree, but it also damages the axe. The axe becomes dulled by that action. And so violent action actually impacts the person doing the violence as much as who is having the violence done too, if that makes sense. And so, I thought that was really cool. They say that, the damage for a human is a spiritual damage whenever you do violence. And I thought that was really cool. And then there's another quote here from, there is a dark friend that Matt and Rand come across at one point, and Matt says, she tried to kill me, Rand. Matt is going to kill her, or is acting like he's got this knife and he's going to kill her. And he says, she tried to kill me, Rand. She should have killed you too. She's a dark friend. But we're not, Rand said. We're not, Matt. So Rand is saying, we're not dark friends. We're not going to act like this. We're not going to become brutalized like this. We're not going to just randomly kill or meaninglessly kill anyone. So I thought that was really cool. So there's also this concept of Taverin and Tamaralelen. And I thought this was real cool. There's a couple of quotes that really illustrate that, so I'll just read those real quick. It says, you see, the wheel of time weaves the pattern of the ages, and the threads it uses are lives. It is not fixed, the pattern, not always. If a man tries to change the direction of his life and the pattern has room for it, the wheel just weaves on and takes it in. There is always room for small changes, but sometimes the pattern simply won't accept a big change, no matter how hard you try. I think this is a real cool sort of description of fate, how things we have free will to change things in our lives many times up to a certain point, but then there's a certain point where there's forces bigger than ourselves and bigger than we're able to change. And so we need to live within the pattern, or we need to accept that there is a pattern that we are part of that we cannot change. And I thought that was really cool. And then the quote goes on later to say, but sometimes the change chooses you, or the wheel chooses it for you. And sometimes the wheel bends a life thread, or several threads, in such a way that all the surrounding threads are forced to swirl around it. and those force other threads, and those still others, and on and on. That first bending to make the web, that is called tevarin. And there is nothing you can do to change it, not until the pattern itself changes. The web, tamaralelin, it's called, can last for weeks or for years. It can take in a town or even the whole pattern. So I think that's just so cool, because what it's saying here is that, sometimes you make a change, but sometimes the pattern, the overall fate, changes things for you. It forces you into a situation that you would not have chosen for yourself, which is what ends up happening to our 5 young people from the 2 rivers here. And then the overall pattern, the web, is something that shifts, and that it can last. It spread out and cover your life. It can cover your community. It can cover the whole world even. And so I thought that was really interesting. Okay, so finally, I will end the chat with a quote from the very beginning of the book, but I think it's really cool. It says, "There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the wheel of time, but it was a beginning." So yeah, this was a beginning for me. I will definitely be reading more of the Wheel of Time. I do have the 2nd book in the series planned to be coming up fairly soon, actually. The Great Hunt will be coming up soon, but my next chat is actually going to be The Painted Veil by W. Somerset Maugham, which I have finished, and so I will have a chat on this coming up very soon. Until next time, take care. Bye.